Greetings again. We're continuing with tools, and the tool that we are going to be looking at is Speedy Entry. This has to do with entering notes. So primarily these videos just to get your feet wet with entering notes. Alright. This is the Speedy tool. It is an 8 note, just like a simple entry, but there is in the graphic some lines. It's kind of italized a bit to show that it goes faster. That's debatable. It's all depends on the method that you use and how well you can maneuver what it is that you do. For me, I do find that it goes faster for me. But as I said, it's debatable. Alright? Now I'm gonna enter in some notes and I'm gonna use primarily the keyboard for this method of input. Alright. Speedy entry comes again with a menu bar. Of course, it appears when the tool is selected. Right? It wasn't there before, see? Now it's there. And it gives you the options. Now you have a frame, which is what you saw in the staff there. And it gives you options in terms of the scaling of the staff and the scaling of the frame to fit the staff. And if there are modifiers that you would want to use in terms of MIDI, there's a MIDI device that you're going to be using for input, or if it's going to be directly from your typing keyboard, right? You can also create a key map. You can decide what note, different notes. You could use your musical keyboard now. You could assign various keys there to mean different things. So it gives you a sense of flexibility to set your own commands and modifiers. Alright, so that's the options, which is the first one before we have the horizontal separator. Now, by default, Speedy comes with use MIDI device for input. Alright, let's work something. Again, the same keys in the number pad, 1 for being the hemi-demi semiquaver all the way through to 8 for being the breathe for double whole note. Good. It applies just the same way once you haven't changed your commands. Commands are the same for Speedy. So let's see what happens when we start pressing wow. So by default, whenever your Speedy is selected and it's set to use MIDI device for input, the default is that the keyboard, the typing keyboard, I have to make that distinction, is on silent. So only thing that it will enter are rests. Alright, so if you want to enter notes, then you have to deselect the use MIDI device for input. And now we will get the notes. Alright, you will get whatever notes. Alright, of course, it's using the time signature that I gave it, and the amount of notes that I've input in that bar is just too much. So there are too many beats in this measure. Alright, what do you want to do? Do you want to leave it alone? Do you want to delete the extra notes? Do you want to move the extra notes to the next measure? Or do you want to continue, keep moving these extra notes until all the measures contain the correct number of beats? So these are various options to this error message that you could choose whichever radio button that suits what you want to do. Okay, so it ties it according to, you know, whatever it was that I did. Okay, right, so let's get started with using this. So if you began using your Speedy and you started to enter notes and you're just getting rest, remember just to check the menu and deselect use MIDI device for input. Now if I deselect playback, you will not hear the pitches. When I select playback, you indeed will hear the pitches. Alright? Good. There are the various options that you have. You can set it to by default based on the time signature. Whenever a measure is filled, you want to jump to the next measure. What that does, it actually takes off one action, which is to select the next measure that you're going on to. So it will do it automatically. At times, in my experience, it's very useful, and at times it is annoying. So based on what it is that you're doing, it could either make it faster or slow you down. Alright? So there you can select them, deselect them. Check the beaming so that it beams it according to the beat based on how you would have set up your time signature. We'll get to the time signature tool later on. So based on how you group the notes in the time signature, it will check the beaming according to that. So you can either do it manually or you can allow it to check it and do it automatically for you by setting how is it that you, what is the template that you would want it to follow. Check for extra notes, which we just saw how that worked. Alright, when the error message came up. If you want to rewind the recording and seek to the spot where that was, you are free to do so. We're definitely using a 5-line staff. There are other types of staff systems that exist. So we're using the standard. Leave that one alone. If you are using a different like tablature and stuff like that, we'll get into that at a later time. Edit the tab as a standard notation. Alright, so we're using standard notation rules here. Now there's the insert notes or rest, there's the insert option. That if it is, I'm gonna just demonstrate that, which has the caret changes. That's when the insert is on, this is when the insert is off. So the insert actually has an arrow at the caret pointing out the position where the note would be inserted, and as you see I'm using the up and down arrows to move, and I'm going to insert E4. Of course, because we asked it to check the amount of notes that are in the measure. We got this error message, so we chose to delete. So that's how the insert works. So we can keep it on or turn it off. I just use a key combination to turn it off so that I don't have to select in, come in here, right? Now we have Speedy edit commands, and this is where Speedy entry is really powerful, because you have all these different commands which are overwhelming at first, but the more we use it, the more they become second nature to us to actually get what we want. Right? So you can study them, or you can play with them, or you can use them over and over until they become a part of you. Okay, so for navigation, what to do, and even for tie directions. Alright, so with no further ado, I will continue with explaining actually how the entry of these work. Now the arrows are what we make use of, and you can learn that right here at the Speedy navigation. If you want to go directly to the previous measure, that's what you want to jump to the next measure. Alright, layers, you just add the shift key, and let's just look at that with the layers. I'm gonna add the shift key. So you see at the, use my cursor to show you right here, layer 4. Alright, I'm going down now, so it is in a cycle. Alright, so 2, 3, 4, right? And so I can quickly switch layers using the arrow. Right here, I can quickly jump to the first position in the previous measure. Right? Within the measure, I can use my arrows to position me in the measures. Alright, so these are things that are right there in the program for us. Okay, change voicing. I will speak about voicing right now. For example, you're doing soprano and alto. Say that we have two parts. What could we use here? That we have. Say that we have a C here, and we need a minim. Right? On pressing that shortcut, which is the apostrophe key, it changed it from V1, which is by default what would be here. I'm recentering the correct once more. So it's V1, changes to V2, and now I can enter the second voice, and I'm still in the first layer. I'm still in layer 1 right here, right? Right, good. Now, if I press it again, you will return to voice 1. I can now go to the next position, and if I don't, it will stay just as is. But if I want to put a B, let's put a B there. Alright, I would use my arrow to get to where I'm going, right at the B. Change to voice 2. And let's put a dotted crotchet. So I put the crotchet and I put the dot. What else could we do? Let's put a C as a quaver. Right? So this is what happens, or this is how what happens with two voicings. Right? Two different rhythms that are being placed within the same measure. Alright, they're not on the same stem, because of course it's a different rhythm. And if I would want to continue adding notes on a particular stem that's already there, I can still do that. And even if it is that I want to go to the voice, to the second voicing, I should be able to do that as well. Alright. Now you'd have noticed something weird that happened a while ago, and I will make this point here. Each system somehow is different. You know, people program things in. Now, if you're working on a Windows, just by pressing the enter key, the value of the note that would have been there previously, to which you are adding a second tone, would not change. But when on Macintosh computers, if you have a dotted note, it would change it from a dotted back to an undotted note. It would now allow you to enter the next pitch, and then you would have to add the dot thereafter. Right? So you could rewind the video, pause it, see what is taking place, look at the keyboard, see what is done, and do not get frustrated when one or two of these little things happen. I'm telling them to you so that you can keep working at it. Alright, so that was the voice. Right, now we can go from one measure in when I say measure, what is it pointing out? We're at the next one, up staff and down staff, right? Right, so just a second, you two can figure this one out. Because it's all written there for you. Alright. Well, again, from computer to computer, things are different. Obviously, it has to be this return key. Alright? It has to be that return key. It cannot be this return key. That's just weird. Right? So with the shift, even if you have a stack of stabs, you can navigate up or you can navigate down. Right? And your frame is actually what Speedy uses to signify where you're entering notes, what it is that you're focusing on at the moment. And I mean, you do not have to memorize everything. If you notice, I'm not memorizing anything. I actually go to Speedy, go to the navigation, and see the steps that are recommended. Alright? So I'm just going to have a piece of music nearby me here now. I'm just gonna be entering notes. It doesn't really matter. So I'm now on level layer 4. I do not want to be on layer 4, so I use my shift and my arrow and I go to layer 1. And let's go. Alright, so this I'm just using the cursor. I'm just changing the cursor based on where the note setting are, and just hitting the key based on the type of note that you're entering is the method by which we enter notes. Of course, a while ago you would have realized that I entered an accidental. Maybe you would have heard it. Right? Now, this can be frustrating when you look that the notes are not looking the way that you probably think that the spacing should. Do not worry about it. Just continue entering your notes. And what makes it easy for me is that all of these notes are of the same note type. So I'm just quickly entering them in. Alright, now you could either, let me see if this works, 0, right? If you want it to space out, you press 0 in the number pad, and what that does, it removes the Speedy entry frame from the bar that you're working on and gives it a chance to respace itself automatically. And then by pressing it again, it turns it on. So anytime that you are not clear on where you are at, 0, it respaces itself, refreshes the spacing rules, and take it from there. Alright, so for putting in a rest, it's a combination of the shift and the backspace key. This is, I guess this is on a Mac. You're working on a Windows computer. I'm almost sure it's just backspace, and I think for insert it would just be insert. You know, so key combinations are different from the various systems, and whatever they are, you can simply go to Speedy, look for the edit commands, they would be right there. And if you're not sure, you can find them online. Plus, I have also provided a list of these for you. Alright, so I mean, if you switch often between computers, it will keep your brain going. Alright. And then, of course, the plus symbol gives you a sharp. Alright, good. Alright, so there we're entering our rests, doing various things. Alright, say for example that we want to break the beam in here. Then we have the / key, right? That breaks or connects the beam in of the notes. So whatever reason we want to break the beam in, then that's how it's done. Any note that's or any note type that goes along with beaming. So there you have it. We're using Speedy entry for putting in the notes, and it's basically using the arrows and the number pad. Alright? Whichever method you use, practice as many methods. Then as you're going along, you'll find the method that works best for you or best for the application or what it is that you are doing at that point in time. So from now on, do some stuff in Speedy entry as well as in simple entry. Alright? Thanks much for watching.